You're now tuned into the hottest podcast in the world, the Stay Woke Podcast, right here on TheSonicBreakdown.com.
Welcome back to another Stay Woke Podcast. This is DeRa Brinson, and you know the Stay Woke Podcast is presented by TheSonicBreakdown.com. If you haven't read a review, we just put one up on Joey Badass. Check it out. My boy Jason Terrell, a guy I interviewed on Profound Gentleman, he did that article, so definitely check that out. But let's get into what we're talking about today. Talk about Talib Kweli and Styles P's new album. But before we even get into that, I want to introduce, we have a special guest in the building. We got Trav, one of the Stay Woke podcast listeners. Introduce yourself, man. What's up?
What's up? This is Trav. Going out from the East Coast, going from Jersey. And I love this album, man. Definitely needed in hip-hop in today's current events. I think this album right now is very needed. Being from a conscious rapper, and a street rapper that can armed forces, and to speak on topics and give us that pure raw hip hop that's 80s babies grew up on. It's a great situation right now.
It is, and it's coming out of, to me, it's like coming out of left field. Like, I didn't know that they were working together. I had no idea that this was even a project that was going to be released this year. Did you have any idea that they were coming out with an album or anything like that?
Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was on YouTube and I saw a video called Lost Ones, and it was with Talib Kweli and Styles P. And when I played the video, the beat and the production was so raw, and it was in the streets, it was like Yonkers and the whole New York feel. Mm-hmm. And then I started hearing them coming in with the lyrics, and I was like, wow, this is a dope song. Then about like a day before Kendrick's album dropped, word on the street was they was going to drop this EP the same day. And I'm like, what? And as soon as Kendrick dropped, I caught both of them at the same time and just went listening. And I was just like, by content, and see, it's only 7 tracks, but the lyrics, man, and the production is so raw and heavy, man. I mean, it's like, it gave me a feel like how Illmatic was so short, but the content and the production made it like a heavy album, Yeah, it didn't need 8 or 9 tracks. 7 was great, and the project is called The 7.
It made sense as well, like you said. The title of the album, because I didn't mention that, is The 7. Again, and it's Talib Kweli and Styles P. But before we even get into breaking down this album, what is your relationship with Talib Kweli and Styles P prior to this album? Because I have a deep relationship with them just on prior albums that I've listened to. What about you?
I actually do as well with the music. I'm gonna keep it real. Like with Talib Kweli, was kind of like in and out over the years. Mm-hmm. But with Styles, because he had like he over here, man, he has like crazy mixtapes, man. You can look him up online. Datpiff.com, certain mixtape outlets, and this guy's street mixtapes are like very extensive. He has to at least have like 25 mixtapes, man. See, with Styles, when I was younger, when the first Locks album came out, I was one of those guys that was growing up in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And when everybody was on this whole Sonny Suit Puff Daddy wave at the Big Pass, I wasn't really feeling the whole new bad boy era with the Sonny Suits and the Mace. And I just wasn't feeling it.
I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you on that, bro. I wasn't feeling that either. I didn't understand that wave. I didn't get that wave.
Nah, I wasn't with it, man. It just felt like very gimmicky. I appreciate it a little bit more now as I got older, and the changes of hip hop and the sound and everything, and especially with New York sound and hip hop, I can appreciate it now as classics. Mm-hmm. But when I'm going into that, it's because I kind of slept on the Locks' first album because of that era, and then one day I had popped in, and I said, let me just go ahead and just listen to the album. I did like We Always Love Big Pop and certain other tracks, but it was just one track on there. It's called Not to Be Fucked With. It was just Styles by himself, man. And everybody, everybody gives Jadakiss props. He's like one of the illest guy on the Locks. But when I heard that solo track by Styles and the things he was saying, man, I was like, yo, this guy is raw, and he's on Bad Boy. This guy is talking about, getting cars like made by NASA to fly through traffic. It was just crazy.
Yeah, his wordplay.
From that point,
Yeah, his wordplay is crazy.
Yeah, his wordplay and his metaphors, man, it was so sick. So after that day, I heard that track. This is like 97, like the end of 97 when I heard it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pay attention to this guy. And ever since then, I paid attention to the Styles very heavy. And this guy has always been a street guy.
Yeah.
But he drops jewels at the same time, man. It's raw street. But he makes sure he drops you a jewel before he gets off that verse. And, that's my relationship with Styles. Now, with Talib, of course, the whole raucous era. And him and the Reflection Eternal.
Yeah.
That album.
That album, man.
Man, that's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, you know, I was kind of going in and out because I was, like I said, I kind of gravitated more towards like the Wu-Tangs and the Mobb Deeps and the Capone, Noriega, that whole, you know, Core Mecca, everybody.
Yeah, they had
so
just a gutter, a more gritty vibe than Talib Kweli.
Right. Yeah, that's true, man.
So, I mean, I can understand that, especially the type of music that it sounds like you gravitated to. I can see Talib not quite fitting in there because, especially the production-wise, he didn't have as hard-hitting basses and things of that nature.
He didn't, no.
My, I guess, history with both of these artists is a little bit similar to yours, except in kind of reverse. I was more heavy on Talib than I was on Styles P. Like, I love the Lox, don't get me wrong. I always loved the Lox. I always loved Jadakiss, Styles P, Sheek Louch, like all of them. To me, were underrated and continue still to be underrated to me. Jada does get more shine than Styles P and Sheek. And Sheek kind of like took himself out of the equation a little bit by not being on all their projects. Even though he was around, you know, he's just more reclusive. So I think that kind of hurt, like, him not getting that love. But Styles P, to me, always got love, but Jada always kind of outshined him in the love that he received. Styles P, to me, was always that dude. He always had the lines. He always had the rhymes. Every Lox album you heard, all of them had lines. All of them had metaphors. They were all spitting. But like I was saying, for me, with Talib Kweli, with Reflections Eternal, that album, I played that album so much. It just resonated with me. It was just thought provoking. It got me to think about things that I thought about, but not on the level that he was talking about it. And so it made me think a little bit more, and I just appreciated that. Talib goes back to meet with Black Star with Mos Def. Then you got him with Reflections Eternal with High Tech. With Styles P, he kind of stays more, they both kind of stay in their lane prior to this album. You know what I'm saying? Talib was a conscious guy. Styles P had conscious content, but he was always gritty. So that's why when I heard these two coming together, it kind of threw me off, but it fits somehow. What do you think about their relationship on the album together, though?
I think they gel well, man, because they both common goal to come in. This is what they want to do. And, you know, I just finished watching a video, interview yesterday of Styles and Talib. They was on Sway in the morning. And Styles kind of broke it down kind of right. He was like, you know, it's this picture, you watch a Menace Society and having Sharif and the old dog roll down the block together. Give you the view.
Yeah.
That's definitely what that is right there.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. When you say that like that, you get that visual, and it does make sense.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, and I mean, I wasn't thinking that exactly, but you know, lyrics, you kind of get the view. That's like the first opening track, Poets and Gangsters. Exactly.
That to me, that was the perfect segue into the album. That was the perfect introduction. The fact that they explained the meaning of 7 and the terminology behind it, of seeking the truth and trying to understand the truth and getting deeper meaning behind things, and not just taking the surface level view of things and getting deeper into it, made real sense. Because if you think about all their albums, if you're a surface level listener, you know, all of their music sounds good. You know what I'm saying? But then if you get deeper and you really break down the content of their words, they're all talking about like deep shit. Even, like I said, even the Lox, because like I don't think a lot of people think that the Lox are deep. The surface level listeners, you know what I'm saying? They just like, oh, they just some hood niggas. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, because Styles has always been. You gotta go back and like listen. Even when he's on the street tracks, like he always drops a kind of spiritual connecting jewel.
Exactly.
In his, I mean, Jadakiss is known. He's a fly guy. He's a witty guy, get money guy. You know, real smooth guy that talks that street stuff on some monster type. You know, the way he come at it. She's just he's the gorilla guy to go around and. It's, you know, he rap about smacking your face off and bagging your girl. You know,
exactly.
And Style, he is what he is. He's the Phantom. He's the ghost.
Yeah,
he comes street. You know what I mean?
And that nickname fits him perfectly, because the way that I see Styles style is he's one of those people that he's in a room. You can be in a room with them, and everybody's having a big conversation, and everybody thinks they're dropping jewels, and he'll say one sentence, and then everybody's like, damn, like, and then he's out, and that's all he says, that one sentence, and it kills the conversation, and it doesn't kill it in a bad way. It kills it in like, damn, he just wrapped up everything we said in this one sentence, and he's out, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's how his style is to me.
Right, and you know, in his style, it evolves.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around a long time, man, and he's been in the street. He's been in jail. He's been out here in the office in New York City, and trying to get our people healthy with juice bars. Like over here, he has like 5 or 6 juice bars, man. He got 2 in the Bronx, got 2 in Yonkers. He just opened one up in Brooklyn, and he's pushing juice.
Yeah, he's elevating his consciousness. When he learns more about himself and and the things to help him do better, he's sharing it with us. I think I respect him for that as well, is because like a lot of people will, get jewels, get gems in life, taking even out of the rap game. They'll get those jewels and they'll hoard it to themselves. He's like, nah, I'm gonna give y'all this information too, so that we can all live better. And
that's funny you said, because over here, I don't know if you guys have a big following on the 5% Nation out there, but over here we call those people, we call them the 10%ers, the ones who have knowledge but don't share it.
Yeah, that elitism.
They have the knowledge for themselves. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people you're right, that do that. It's good for themselves and they don't share it. The whole thing about being a leader is that we all go out and experience knowledge and wisdom. We have to go back and share it with our people so we can get a correct understanding.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what Styles and Talib both do.
Exactly. And that's why this album fit so well together. Even though on the outside, like I said prior, you might not have seen the connection, but once you start listening to the album, and especially like I said, that intro where it talks about the 7, and then it goes into the actual production of Poets and Gangsters, excuse me, and that is them. that is the surface level that we see of them. Most people see Talib as that, like I said, that conscious guy who's the poet, and Styles P as that gangster. But if you really listen to the track, you realize they're both a little bit of both, or at least that's what I took from it. Is that, Talib, even though he might be on this conscious peace, love, and, happiness, on the flip side, don't fuck with him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can handle his own as well. And the same thing with Styles P on the flip side. Yeah, he comes off as this gangster, which he has that quality as well, but he also is deep. And he also has thought-provoking ideas and philosophies that he abides by and lives by.
Exactly. They both have their levels of consciousness and street. Mm-hmm. And the thing is he let everybody know that. And that last album, I don't know if it's the last album, but I know he had a mixtape before. It was Prisoner of Consciousness. Yeah. And that was a great that one. I'll play that album to death.
A lot of people were sleeping on that album.
That album, he had a lot of people on that album too. He had Rick on that album. He had a song, man, and that song was crazy.
Yeah.
He's starting to come out of his box and let you know, don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
I got knowledge and conscience, but I also know how to get, because he's from Brooklyn, so you can be conscious as you want, but you still, the elements in your surroundings, you have to adapt to that. And you have, because you live through this.
Yeah.
So it's like, in you, because it's part of your element, it's part of your surroundings.
Yeah, and as well as especially in New York, because I lived out there for a little bit when I was younger, and I have all my family's from New York, so I understand that mentality is, if you don't have any of that grit or gangster, whatever you want to call that other side, if you don't have that, you're gonna get eaten up. You gonna get eaten alive. So you have to have that balance. Some people have better balance of it than others. Some go too much on the gangster side and not enough on the poetic side. You know what I'm saying? So let's go with Poets and Gangsters. To me, what did you think about the production?
It was ill, man. It was like, it sounded like a movie, like a movie score to be at first. That old 70s feel, the vibe. Beats, the drum. It sounded crazy, and it was opening track, and Styles laughing like, yeah, get ready, and then boom, they go right in, and they just it dropped heavy, man, from the jump, like real heavy content, man.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
The first production was nice to me. The thing that I said when I first heard it, the production, was this sounds more like a Talib Kweli production than it does a Styles P production. To me.
The beginning track, absolutely.
And
you know what?
Uh-huh.
First single they released was Lost Ones, and they made the video. And to me, that first song of the single sounded like a Styles P production. It was cool that they opened it and sounded like a Talib.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing because, and to me, if you think about it, the first track sounds like Talib, the last track sounds like a Styles P production. Like, again, that duality of, we are two separate kind of entities, but we're making this work together and we're finding that balance. And I can flow over a Talib Kweli type beat, and Talib could flow over a Styles P type beat, and we can both rock those well because we have that balance amongst ourselves. And so I thought that was just interesting because they're
both MCs that can flip any beat.
Exactly.
You can give Talib anything, any beat, and they're just ripping, man.
And that's why when Sway started doing that, the 5 Fingers of Death, you can really see which rappers got it and which rappers don't, because there's some cats that get in there and they can't get through them beats, but the true MCs, the true musical MCs will find a way. So
yep, and that's why Sway does. He brings those royalties up there, and if you can't go around calling yourself, you can be a rapper. That's another thing Styles used to break down all the time. It's the difference between a rapper and being an MC.
That's right.
Master, these guys, these clown cats out here on the radio, with these new cats out here, those are rappers, man. These guys like Joey Badass, Styles, Kendrick, J. Cole, these guys are MCs.
Yeah.
Master the ceremony.
I want to go into track number 2, Brown Guy. To me, again, the production here kind of was like, it was still more Talib to me than Styles P in the sound, but it seems like they were starting to segue into moving into more of that grittier gangster groove after the first track, Poets and Gangster. Did you feel that same way, or did you have a different take on that production?
Production, yeah, I felt like a real Styles production. Like I said, man, I got a lot of Styles mixtapes, man. You know, and yes, those the sound like something that Pools were in the studio and cooked up the Styles, man.
And what do you think? What do you think about the content in that song between both of them?
Both doing in this one, but they was explaining to you, we're the brown guys, and like nigga is a mentality. It's not a person. It's not a skin color. And it was just showing you that, hey, a white guy can be a nigga too. To do the same thing. Got the biggest gun. He got a big gun like I got, and he's sort of like I'm doing. You know what I mean? So it was just that. You know, nigga is a mentality, man. It's not a skin. And I like how they both broke that down.
I thought that was very interesting, and I thought it's a topic that doesn't get addressed often, especially in it gets talked about a lot in the black community amongst ourselves, but it's not something that we talk a lot about in public settings. And so I felt like this track, because it's released to the world, for them to get how a segment of the black population feels about that topic, and about how, you know, like you said, you can be a white guy and still be a nigga. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If you're ignorant about that certain thing, or you roll in this circle, or your mentality is this way, that has no bearing on color. And for them to present it in the way that they did, I thought it was really interesting and thought provoking. That I think a lot of people, it will hit them in a different way than I think that they would initially anticipate.
Right. It was basically going in. He don't need those people's opinion about how we live.
Yeah.
Live in our element. We don't need your opinion. You're going to watch The Wire. You're watching, you know, these street documentaries on TV and then Netflix, and then you think you can relate to us. Nah, you gotta live and breathe to feel how we feel. You don't know that. You gotta walk what we walk, experience what we experience, and then, you know, you can sit down and have it, and we can talk and build on certain things. He doesn't need it sideline, because anybody can be a nigga. That's a mentality.
Like I said, I thought it was important that they did address this, and that they were addressed it in the manner that they did. I felt like they really thought about it and addressed as many aspects of that as they could. And that's I guess the benefit that you get when you have two minds working on the same track, because I don't think they would have been able to attack all angles as in depth as they did if you don't have those two people, because I have a feeling they were in, you know, when they did their verses, you know, Styles P heard Talib's, or Talib's heard Styles P and was like, oh, that got me thinking about this. Let me add this to my verse, which is a different perspective than I heard before. So I think collaboration is important.
Right. That was it.
What do you think about the 9.5? First, what do you think about the name in itself, the title of that track?
Well, I didn't get it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they calling this 9.5? I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't getting the title. But then when I heard the lyrics, what I'm assuming is that collaboration with the Locks and them two, it was like not like a 9.5 man, you know what I mean? So that's how I saw it.
Yeah, I had a hard time. I had a hard time the same thing in the beginning. And again, this album is very new, so it's gonna take some time for us to absorb it. You know, several listens. And for me, I'll say for me, since it came out last week, right? Yeah, last week. I didn't really. Yeah, the same time as Kendrick. So I haven't really been able to listen to this as deep as I would like to, because I was doing the review for or the first impressions for Kendrick. So I didn't get to really dive into this as well as I would like. And so I'm hoping after a couple of more listens, really analyzing the lyrics, I can really pin down what this 9.5 is meaning.
I'm still struggling with the title, man. I am still struggling with the title.
Yeah.
But what I do know is these brothers are up there and represented, man. Even Sheik, Sheik.
I was happy
like Sheik.
I was happy that I saw Sheik on there. When I saw Sheik, I was happy because I like Sheik too. And Sheik to me he's the funniest one in interviews. Like, if you watch interviews, he is hilarious. Like the things he be saying, but it's real. It's like real shit that you would say amongst your friends, but he's saying it in front of the world. Like, I don't give a fuck. This is how I feel. This is what it is. But it be real shit.
You know what? And that's why him and Ghostface, they gel together. Like, I don't know if you know, but him and Ghostface, man, they've been on tour together for years. They put this project together. Block. I know you probably heard that. It's like a Locks in the album.
Yeah.
And him and Ace, they fit perfect. It's like Styles and Jada, and off together. But on this particular track, man, Sheik was going in. He even dropped a couple of jukes. You know what I mean? Like, he was going in on that track. I mean, everybody usually represent to me for this one. I'm kind of like, I was shocked. It's being shocked that how Sheik came through on this track, man. He really, he put it down on this one.
I definitely agree. And the thing that I will say in regard to this whole album is I like the features that they had. The thing that I hate about features is sometimes features will just feel like you just put them on here to get they fans, you know what I'm saying? Or you just put them on here because you thought it would be a good, it looks right instead of it sounding right and it feeling right. All the features on here felt right. They felt like they weren't just added on to add on. They were not necessarily needed, but they elevated the production. They elevated the track by having them on there instead of just, oh, let me just throw some shit in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a dish, there's a point where you say there's enough seasoning. And then sometimes when they throw features on, it's like they're just pouring salt on something that's already has salt in it. Take that out. Be cool.
A lot of projects like that right now too, man. And it's kind of, man, it's sickening with some of this stuff. They just throw all these guys and they all sound the same, talking about the same shit. And, I'm looking at some different points of views. They come up with their own style. They all trying to sound like each other, and the shit. That goes on a lot. Yeah. This project, the one that I like a lot more, and we talk about features, man, is Rhapsody.
Say that because I got a lot to say about Rhapsody, but let's go to the next track, In the Field, because In the Field, to me, In the Field was that was a standout track for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was powerful tracks.
And it starts off with powerful snippet of I believe I'm pretty sure, I haven't fact checked this, so if I'm wrong, whatever. But I believe that's Malcolm X, because I think I've seen that video of Malcolm X saying those. Do you know if that was Malcolm X? You're
right. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
I actually have that video saved in one of my YouTube folders, man. Mm-hmm. That is definitely Malcolm.
Yeah, I thought so because I wasn't I wasn't positive, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Malcolm X, and what he is saying is profound. What he says in the beginning as well as what he says in the end is profound, and then the way that both Talib Kweli and Styles P, the content, man, they address so much in that song. I can't believe that they tackled all that in that song.
On all aspects, political, current events, everything, man. They went hard on this one. To me, like you said, it's a standout track. It's one of the most powerful tracks on the whole album.
Yeah, I agree with that. Going from the beginning of the track, and then we'll move forward a little bit. In the beginning of the track, when I heard that Malcolm X beginning where he's talking about we, and I'm not sure if he says it in the beginning or the end, but I know at some point in the conversation that they have, the Malcolm X snippets, he talks about we. And how, as Phil niggas and house niggas, how the house nigga will say we. If the master says we living good, the house nigga will say we living good. That instantly made me think about Kanye West, Steve Harvey, all visiting Trump, because that kind of rhetoric is what was talked about when they visited Trump Towers right after the election. And
with that, your son and Kanye and these cats, man. I kind of feel where some of them are coming from when they want to have to sit down, like, Martin Luther King's son. I can understand, they always come through and just try to see if they can get a common ground on things. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these other kind of coolness out here, man.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
And that's what it felt like to try to be balanced. For me to try to be balanced, when I first heard it happening, I was like, well, let me not say, you know, that they're cooning, that they're whatever, what, you know, the negative connotations that we thought about that meeting. And I was like, well, let me see what they say after the meeting. And the thing that makes me continuously feel like what Malcolm X was saying is that you guys are, it seems that you're living that house Negro mentality, is because when they came out of those meetings, they didn't say anything. They didn't say, well, you know, we said we don't like what you said here, here, and here. Did you really mean that? If you did, you know, something to say like, we went to him to address some real issues, and this is what he gave us back. Because put it this way, if I went in there, because I believe, yes, you should give him the opportunity to hear the man out, because you cannot gain, like you said, you can't gain common ground if you don't even talk to the person. But my thing is on the flip side of that is, after you talk to the person, if you're in those positions like Steve Harvey and Kanye is, where you have black people, people of color, listening to your words, following what you're saying, I feel like it's your responsibility to then tell us what happened in that meeting. Because if you don't, all we're going to do is assume. And if, as we've seen, there hasn't been nothing in Trump's rhetoric to alleviate all the things that he said, racial bigotry, xenophobia, none of that stuff he said to counteract that since his election. And so if you're not going to address that, it's like, then what did you go to meet him for? If you're not going to tell us what went on, then what the fuck you meet him for? It seems like you would only meet him to get more money or to find a way to secure your future. You know what I'm saying? Like those things. And you guys are rich. So what do you need to secure your future for?
He's playing the we have black friends and that bullshit that he's doing when he meets up with them, and they're helping him out with that. Like, oh, what do you mean I'm racist? I have black friends, you know. And
that's what I mean. So like, that's why I feel like they owe us to say, well, no, we're not friends. I went in there to say, I didn't like what you said here. I didn't like what you said here. What are you going to do for this country? How are you going to help my black people? How are you going to help, you know, education? How are you going to help deter police brutality? What are you going to do about police reform? Like real shit that if you're not going to come back saying what that is, then how do we know that it wasn't that? Because we've seen it happen before. It's not like we've not seen, you know, that happened before. The coonery, the being bamboozled by our stars, our celebrities, thinking that they're for us, and then find out later that they weren't doing anything to help us. So that's some of the things that came to mind when I first heard that Malcolm X snippet. I do want to go into some of the other areas in that track as well, because they both talk about black on black crime. They talk about profiting off prisons. They talk about the damage that fast food and the health industry or the
you know what,
the food industry is doing to us.
Talib Kweli touched on it. I mean, you know, I don't know if people have seen it, but if everybody has to see, especially if you're a black and Latino man or woman, you have to see the 13th on Netflix.
Yeah,
man.
That's a good movie. That's good documentary rather.
Right. You have to see that documentary. That's what we both saw. Rona, their situation, they put that there. That's what kind of sparked that. And everything with you know what they're talking about. A lot of stuff that's going on now. How the prisons are using us as slaves, basically. You're back in.
Yeah.
They got you.
Yes, it's just another way is, you know, we falsely arrest you, put you in prisons, then we own the prisons. The prison finds ways to profit off of it, and we make money off of that. So the more people we get in here, the more profit we can gain, regardless of if they're in here for just or unjust reasons. And so
that's why people go us, because it's business. They need us to be in jail.
Yeah.
So of course, they pull up that's innocent and lose their files, and they be locked up for 6 and 10 years, and then they you know what, this guy didn't do it, release him. They already knew that he didn't do it. They already knew that he had no business being there for that long. But it's an industry. They need the house filled up.
Exactly.
You know, they got big corporations like Kraft Foods and some like Walmart, and a lot of these big companies, man, have a lot to do with prisons, man.
Yeah.
So you know,
they just have
need to go check.
Yeah, they just have a nice way of hiding it. But if you dig deep enough and you keep on searching, you can find it. And great documentaries like The 13th. And
touched on that.
Yeah, and others. There's multiples of out there that touched on it. And that's the crazy thing is that we all, well, I won't say we all, a lot of people know about this going on, but it's not really talked about. And so that's why I applaud these brothers for talking about it. The other thing that this track kind of stimulated is have you seen the movie Get Out?
Of course.
Yeah, it made me think of The Sunken Place and how he's talking about how money that, as well as the end with Malcolm X again when he talks about the Novocaine. And I think Talib, as well as Styles P, talks about how money is kind of that Novocaine for us. It's, you give you enough money and you don't realize it makes the suffering more peaceful because you think you think you can buy your way out of it. And at the end of the day, no matter how much money you have, how much power you think you've acquired, you'll never have that much power because of the system that it's in. And so that kind of, that sunken place, that it really brought me back to that, as well as the hypnotize you into scene with the tea, with the teacup. And that's the same thing is, instead of the teacup, they using money. They using fame. They using fortune to hypnotize you and to think that, we're doing so much better. You're great. You have all this power. And at the end of the day, you don't. So those were.
That's what we got to acknowledge yourself. And these man, they're put in a position where they can be leaders, man. And that's why I respect guys like Kendrick and Joey Badass and J. Cole, because they're in today's generation hip hop. And they are sort of the new leaders of this new school of hip hop. Mm-hmm. And they're going in the right direction. And they're giving content. They're giving great subject matter, And that's a lot of the stuff that's going around. The others, that's coonery. Because we want them to blow up. Like these radios want the bullshit to be at the forefront.
Yep.
Let's put rap music and the go kill niggas music first. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. We grew up on that same kind of hip hop. But I was a little bit more, it was more poetic. There was a message behind it. It was a jewelry and drop to it. But the shit that they got now on the radio was straight ignorance.
No, I
and they put it to the forefront. They want you to go out. It's deep, man. They want you to go, put that. Let's get this in the forefront. Let's make this the hot single. Yeah, the kill trap music, to shoot a nigga with a Draco shit. Let's get that. And let's get these guys back in jail. We need the business going. So let's push this to the forefront. Let's get the young kids to think this shit is cool, and they can do the same shit. And then let's get these slave niggas back and get them back in jails, man.
Exactly.
And that's how I see it with something. I mean, they break it down like that too, man.
Just to give some balance is, just like you said, it's not that we're saying that you can't have that. And it's something that I heard Kendrick say before too, is him saying that, there's a place for everybody. There's a place for everything. The problem that we run into is that, just like you said, the main avenues for people to hear music, the radio, TV, those avenues are run by a small set of people. One. The second aspect of it is that the music, like you said, there's trap, there's conscious, all of that music, it should be played and heard equally on those platforms. You can't listen to Pimp a Butterfly all the time. It's too heavy of an album. Like certain things you can't listen to all the time. You need to have some balance. So if you're in a club, you don't want to hear These Walls by Kendrick from To Pimp a Butterfly. You're going to want to hear some Future, which is fine. But you have to have that balance so that you do have some content dropped on on the youth, the young cats that are listening to this music and that are internalizing it, because we take in everything that we take in, everything that we see, everything that we hear, everything that we do, it affects us mentally, physically, and psychologically. If you're not getting anything of nurturing into your mind, like something that's conscious, that's going to make you think, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're doing you know what I'm saying? So you have to have that balance. And it's okay to, like I said, it's okay to hear that Future, that Draco, that Migos, whatever. But at the end of the day, have that balance.
Right. You have to have. Yeah. What I was just getting at is now we're starting to mix it up. This year is getting a little different with New York radio. Mm. I'm right here in Jersey, man. I'm right Bergen County, New Jersey. I grew up between New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina. I was born in Jamaica, Queens, lived in the Bronx. I was raised in Inglewood, New Jersey, and Littleton, North Carolina. So I've been moving back and forth.
Mm.
Up here in New York City, you know what I mean? The radio, they was getting at the most ignorance level of what they were playing all day. And it's just now that this year, they're starting to mix it up again, and putting real MCs on there and having people come up, and you see the Funk Master Flex freestyles and things of that nature, and displaying skill and message. But it's not. It's like you was just saying. It's okay to listen to all that other stuff. We grew up on that shit. You know what I mean? We had people coming through, talking about pushing weight and bodying people. We grew up on Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, you know what I'm saying? Capone, Noriega, EP&D, all that type of shit. It was a little bit more poetic. It was a little bit more of an art form. They showed like they cared. They sat down with their lyrics, and that, so it's okay.
And that's the big. To me, that's that's the biggest thing that makes the difference, and that's my biggest complaint about the new music. I really can't fuck with Migos, Future. Like for me, I just can't. I can't do it. Like I can hear it if I'm at the club. I'm not gonna be like, oh damn, I gotta leave. No, not like that. If you in my car, you in my house, you probably won't hear that very often. And it's not, like I said, it's not to say that they don't have skills, they don't have talent. But on the flip side, like you said, it's just I don't feel like they're putting in the work in their craft. Taking the time to actually, because if you break down some of the lyrics that they're saying, even if you go back to, like you said, Wu-Tang, Onyx, they talking about some real hood shit, but their words were poetic, and their delivery on how they decided what words they use, they just weren't putting words together to make it rhyme. There was a point. You know what I'm saying? That's really where I feel like is the problem is that they're not doing that.
Only a handful of artists that are. And those are the ones that end up making it on your podcast, man. And you break them down. Those are the guys that's doing that for us nowadays. The Joey Badass, Hendrix, the J. Coles. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those cats that are doing it, and that's why I salute those dudes because they're being leaders, and we need them for this age of this new generation of hip hop because we have to have something that has some kind of balance in artistry and some some poetic stuff here. We have to have that. It can't just be like this is getting in the studio and track, killer nigga shit, fuck boy and all that. It's like yo. Back in the day, that shit wouldn't have made it nowhere. It would have been the 99% of the music that we're listening to now. Honestly, in the 90s, that shit would have been put in a fucking comedy movie. It would have been a spoof. Yeah, that's real. You know what I mean? Like, even if you think about DMX, because DMX is hood, gruff, whatever you want to think about in those terms, but everybody says DMX was a lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have, like, the people that I'm saying, like, the Futures, and I'm not picking on Future, whatever, but that's the first name that comes to my mind is those artists aren't putting in that time to actually create stories, create content. They're just creating sounds. And I need more than sounds. If I want sounds, I'll listen to a fucking jazz album. I'll listen to some classical. I'll listen to an instrumental. I need more than sounds and vibes. I need content. So when they both get the marriage on the track, man, that's just beautiful, man. Exactly. You know what I mean? And that's what makes classics. And that's why classics hasn't been, we haven't given classics out to many rappers besides, like you said, the Kendricks, the J. Coles, the Joeys. Those are the only ones in the new school that are getting that term of possibly having classics, because it still needs more time before we can really truly say that they're classics, but they're giving off the content and production that would be equivalent to classics. Right. And it will be, those will, Kendrick's albums will be absolutely classics, man. Yeah. Wait, years to come. Absolutely. The way that I'm telling you, I know that. I can feel that, man. That's, that definitely, because he puts his time in. Joey might take a little longer. He need more projects. He's on the second one. Mm-hmm. But he's still really young. But let's get back to the 7 album because let's go to the next track, Teleprompter. The album as a whole is really good, but as you progress from the first track, it just keeps on getting better and better and better and better and better and better. To me, that's the impression that I was getting. Like I said, not take away anything from the first track, but it just and I think it's not the fact that the first track is worse than the later tracks. It's just I think that they each build upon each other, giving you the momentum, so that when you get towards the end of the album, you just feel better about those tracks because of that momentum that was already built from the first tracks. Right. More powerful messages, man. More uplifting, more inspiration, man. You got Common on there, He's good. He's going in. He's been going in real lately. That last Black America again, I think it was called. That was a good album. If you haven't heard that, everybody out there, you need to check that out. Absolutely. Yeah. The production on Teleprompters, to me, it had a Tribe Called Quest from their the latest album that they dropped. It had that kind of feel to it. Absolutely. That's the same. That's wow. You felt the same way? Yeah. When I heard it, I was like, And I still can't put my finger on which track it is, but it has that
There's something about, I guess maybe one of the layers in the production that gives me that feel, but I definitely got that feel from that track.
Absolutely.
Let's get into Let It Burn, man, because I got to give my girl Rhapsody some love, man. I'm in love with Rhapsody, bro. I've been since Complexions, because that's when I first heard Rhapsody, is from Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly Complexions track. If you haven't heard that song, man,
She went in, and you know what? I was happy that Kendrick took notice to that, man, because I've been following Rhapsody the first time I heard Rhapsody. I believe it was a song called Betty Shabazz, man. You ever heard that track?
No, I don't think so, because I went back through her discography after I heard Complexion. So I have Beauty and the Beast. That's a great album. I have The Idea of Beauty, and then I have her newest one, Crown. So I have all those 3 albums. I don't have anything prior to that, but I'm gonna check that track out though.
Yeah, it's on Jamla's The Squad. They put it on the Jamla's The Squad compilation album. But,
oh, okay.
Pete Rock's on there.
Yeah. Hey, Jamla is they coming through. They got some bangers, man. They got some heaters.
That's a nice crew. That's a nice fresh air hip hop there, man. Production. Yeah. They got Pete Rock. They're like Master Killer from Wu-Tang's doing a lot of stuff with them. I mean, they're doing some things, man. Rhapsody, the first time I heard her, man, Betty Shabazz, the beat, the way she came off, like to me, and I'm gonna. They can follow this for a long time. To me, she is the best rap hip hop, new female hip hop artist in the game.
Man, I've been saying that. I've been saying when they had that whole Remy Nicki beef. You can check my Twitter. I was like, I don't know why everybody's beefing. Both of them ain't none compared to Rhapsody.
They're not. I mean, we salute Remy. You know,
no. I like Remy too. Don't get me wrong, but to me, like you said, no female in the game right now is a better lyricist than Rhapsody.
I'm sorry. I mean, she never has yet to try to use sex or any of that type of shit. Straight raw lyricism.
Just bars.
Straight bars.
Bars. Oh, and every track I've heard her on, there hasn't been a track where I was like, that verse was alright. Nah, every track she gets on, she goes. Let It Burn is no different. Let It Burn, she, like I said, I 100% agree with you. She is the best female lyricist, rapper in the game right now, and it's a wide margin for me. To throw out a few names of some other female artists that I think people should check out. If you haven't listened to our female MCs, we have a podcast on that where we did talk about Rhapsody. We talked about Ciroc. She's going to be dropping a new album pretty soon. She's pretty dope too. Just she doesn't have enough content to even really be put in Rhapsody's category to me yet. But the content that I've heard from her is real dope, and she's very conscious. Who else would I say? No Name. She used to go by No Name Gypsy. Now she's just No Name. She had an album called Telephone. That was really good too as well. So those are the 3 on my short list of female MCs that are worth checking out nowadays, today. But I do want to talk about, what did you think about Chris Rivers? I was shocked when I saw his name on there, but it makes sense.
That's another guy, man. That's another dude, man, that's not getting any burn, and that should be getting burned. And you know why he's not getting burned? Because he's not really using his father. Yeah. To get the.
But I respect him for that, though. I respect him for not using his dad. Trying to make his own way. But it is going to be hard because no matter if he doesn't use his dad's name or not, it's out there. You know what I'm saying? It would be different if nobody knew. But people know. So I feel like you're right. I feel like it is hurting him because he's not using it, but it's also hurting him. He's in a catch-22.
He's using his own skill, though, man. It's just like, if you talk about genes being passed down, this cat, I've been listening to this dude for like 2 or 3 years now. He got
me too.
Mixtapes too, and this guy is sick. Yeah, his pops, like the lyricism, man, and he's fast. His metal for Styles. You know what? I think Styles made that happen because he's been dealing with him a lot.
Yeah,
Styles.
That's what I was gonna say is because Styles is the first one that I heard endorse Chris Rivers, and that's what made me check him out. Was a couple of years ago I heard in an interview, and they was like, "What do you think about the young cats out there?" And then he was like, "Yeah, Kendrick, J. Cole," and he's like, "Yeah, but Chris Rivers." And then I forgot who the DJ that was doing the interview was like, he's like, oh, that's Big Pun son. He's like, yeah, but nah, he's good on his own. He's like, he's good. He got bars on his own. And then I started checking him out from that point on, and they weren't lying. He got bars. Actually, it was on Sway. It was on Sway. And then he had him on. And then Chris Rivers came on Sway in the morning, and he spit. Yep. Yeah, he was spitting. So
he can spit, man. He's one of those dudes. He's gonna be those dudes that's in the equation of being one of the new generation leaders of this hip hop thing, man. He's it's gonna take him a little bit. People just starting to get to know who he is, man. I remember a song back in the day where it was Big Pun and Cuban Link, and they had a song called Toe to Toe.
Yeah, I know exactly what song.
And so now, the new version was Chris Rivers went out and got Peter Gunn's son, which is Corey Guns, and he did it over again, man. And that kind of like created that whole new wave feel, and they both equally was going toe to toe lyrically.
Oh, I haven't heard that. I'm gonna have to check that out because I like Corey Guns too. He's young. He definitely has his own style. Definitely has a style about him. I really thought that the buzz that he got from that Lil Wayne track would have propelled him a little bit more. But the question that I have regarding Chris Rivers is, my only fear with Chris Rivers is that, similar to some of the other great spitters, let's say like a Cassidy or even Papoose to a certain extent, and is they can spit, but when it comes to putting an album together, it just doesn't. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work, because I'm never gonna deny Cassidy, Papoose their skill, but we haven't really gotten a good complete album from them. You know what I mean? And that's that's my fear that might be what's happening or is happening with Chris Rivers. I don't know. That's just my fear.
You know that happens. You know what you need to do. Like, they got a lot of these certain projects out here, like the whole Prime thing, but what's the 5-9 and Primo.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That Prime album was good.
Yeah, that was dope. And I think they need something like that, man.
Mm.
I think they need to just lock in with like a Primo, a Ninth Wonder, Static Selector, The Alchemist. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They need to go. That's what will make it. I think that'll make it good right there if they do that. I think that would solidify a good project for these guys, man. They're gonna go lock in with a right producer. I mean, that was a problem Cannabis had back in the day.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, because he got the skill lyrically. They got the skills. It's just that everything else, and that's the sad part about music, and that's why, back to Talib Kweli and Styles P, this is not an album that I thought would happen, or that I even like, if somebody were to say, who would you mash up together, I wouldn't have thought of Talib and Styles P. That's just me.
Nope.
But
that came out of left field.
Yeah, it came out of left field, but it works because you have to surround yourself with people that are like-minded in some degrees, but have different perspectives enough so that you can get better content. And so hopefully albums like this one, albums like Prime, will give like Chris Rivers and Corey Guns and other artists that have the skills, the platform, so that they can start maybe thinking in that regard and get better projects. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah, man. You give these cats Primo, Pete Rock. I mean, these are the same guys. You know what's so crazy? The same guys that made Illmatic a classic are still around, and they're still doing production. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Primo and Pete, man. You know what I mean? They can still get through that. They did it for now, but they did it for now.
To me, that shows that the true talent, because talent is the thing that will last, and that's why, out of this generation, out of the new rappers, I don't feel. Think about in the '90s, there was a lot of rappers. Don't get me wrong, that didn't make it, but there was also a lot of rappers that stayed relevant because of their content and their skills. I don't feel like that ratio of rappers that had the longevity that Nas, Hove, Talib, Styles P, all of them that you can think of that had that longevity that they did. I don't think we're gonna get that same percentage out of this group that we are currently now. I don't think they're gonna last long. I think there are some that will, and those would be the ones that really have the talent, like the Kendricks, the J. Coles, even Earl Sweatshirt. Others, Mac Miller, Ab-Soul, Schoolboy. Like, there's others that aren't in the same genre as Kendrick and J. Cole, but they have the talent that will keep them relevant if they continue to put in the work.
I think they will. I mean, TDE definitely will. I can see that happening, man. I can definitely, that whole TDE camp, Schoolboy, Ab-Soul, even Isaiah Rashad, man. That whole camp,
yeah.
I see them being around. Nah, man.
But I think that's also a result of TDE itself, is because to me TDE, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe just this is an outsider looking in, but I feel like TDE, the great thing about TDE is they kind of go off of more of the old Motown idea of we're gonna get good talent, we're gonna foster that talent, and we're gonna make good music. Good music will get you money. We're not gonna focus on the money, but we're gonna get it because the content and the music is gonna be that good and relevant that it will last long enough. Where I feel like other record labels are very short-minded. They're trying to figure out what can give us the most money right now. What can give us the most money right now, instead of what can get us the best content to keep our fans the longest, and they'll grow with us, and we'll continually making money off of that growing fan base, instead of, oh, we're gonna ride this vibe, we're gonna ride this wave, we're gonna ride this with everything that's so temporary.
Right. You know what I call that, man? I mean, I joke with my partners up here, my cats at work and stuff, man. And I call these MCs, man, it's like you go to McDonald's and Burger King and get that dollar menu hip-hop, man. It's snack rap hip-hop. That's what this shit is, man. Little dollar menu snack rap shit. Everybody competing. And these labels are like the fast food restaurants. You got Def Jam, Def Jam and these other Universal. These guys pushing this hip-hop out like fucking dollar menu items, man. You know what I mean? And these guys got that rap over there. He's making that kind of rap. Okay, let me put this dude out. McDonald's got a snack wrap, chicken wrap.
Yep. They're like, yeah, Wendy's got that too. All right, well, we got to make a spicy chicken wrap now too. So, no, and that's a great metaphor and analogy for it, because that's exactly what it seems like. Instead of, and where, like you said, those other record labels are like fast food, like McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. And it feels like TDE is the chef. They're like, nah, we're gonna go to culinary school. we're gonna learn how to make this the best, and we're gonna give you some lamb confit instead of Burger King. But we're gonna charge you the normal price that we charge for all of this shit, but we're gonna give you the best quality. We're gonna give you that prime steak. We're gonna give you that nice filet. We're gonna give you that caviar, because that's what our quality, the quality of our music that we want to give out is that level.
And that's what's going to be the best things now, because, we're in the age of hip-hop where everybody's doing the independent thing. I mean, I think Hov and them is doing a good job, Nation Management. Mm-hmm.
They just signed Fab. I think they just signed Fab, too.
They bring an artist over there, they can have their own creative control.
And that's, and that's where music should be, is where you have the opportunity to voice what you want to say in the way that you want to say it. Because I don't think we would have got... If you don't allow artists to have that kind of platform, you don't get great music like Kendrick's album. You don't get great music like Mac Miller's album. I don't think he would have made the Divine Feminine if he didn't have the space to make that album. Because try to pitch that to a record label. I'm going to make an album about God as a woman. That Mac Miller joint, man. You know what I'm saying? Most record labels are going to be like, nah, that's not going to sell, bro. That's not going to sell. So we need you to make that club banger. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I hope that's the direction that music is going into, and I hope that it continues to foster great new artists that have the platform to continue. But
and that's why it's important for us to be entrepreneurs with the music thing and come up with our own label, so we can keep our own creative control, be able to do stuff big, with the message and the creative control, and to have other artists come up and do the same thing. I think that's just great for hip hop to be in that lane. Not saying that the labels aren't needed,
no,
because we like to see Def Jam get back to its original roots and put out the best quality hip hop and shit. Just like Interscope did when they had Dre and them over there at a point, and we want to see that happen. But for this generation, everybody, they all know, nobody wants to get down with these 360 deals, man.
Yeah,
that shit is hard.
And
what I mean? Like you.
And that's the other thing is not we're saying that the record labels aren't needed, like you said, but just like we said about the music, there needs to be a place there needs to be more balance. So yeah, you have the record labels, but the record labels can't be the gatekeepers. And that was the problem that we were having before, is that the record labels were the gatekeepers, You really couldn't get your music out there without them. Now you have the opportunity to get your music out there. But as the artist, now it's your responsibility that the fact that you can get your music out there without these major record labels, that you give us the content, that you give us quality music. That's your onus, because if not, it's gonna make people want to start drifting back and only staying with the record labels because we want good quality music. So you have to have that balance. And that's why it's a good thing that we have people like Joey Badass that had the opportunity to sign to Rock Nation, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do this independent route and be successful at the independent route. So it shows other artists you don't necessarily have to go down that route of signing to a record label. You can, but you don't have to. And that gives you some freedom in decision-making process of yourself. Where before it's like, that's my only option. I have to go to this record label. If I don't go to this record label, I might as well not be an artist. I think that's a nice transition that we're going into. Hopefully that it stays and continues to get better. Let's go into the last track, the last ones. The last ones is the ending track to the 7 album by Talib Kweli and Styles P. To me, that track is the most Styles P type of production.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It was a nice way to end it off. It had aggression in it, but it still had some not lightheartedness, but it didn't seem too heavy. Because, you know, some tracks can be so heavy that when you end it, it's like, damn. Like, I feel like the way that they ended it was heavy, it had you thinking, but it still kept you motivated. I guess that would be the best word. Where sometimes if you get that deep with how deep this album is, if you really pay attention to the content, presented in certain ways could be depressing because of all the hardship that we have to go through. But I didn't get that. I didn't get feeling stuck mentality. I got that. Yeah, there's some shit we need to change, but fuck it, we got to go out and do it. That kind of feeling instead of fuck, we're fucked.
Yeah, get that knowledge of them putting out music, you know, and push. Yeah, we both know that this album is not going to get pushed. I'm glad that you're doing the breakdown on this, man, because we're going to see the interviews with them coming up there, but in reality, on the radio, they're not going to play a lot of it. I mean, maybe up here a little bit. I don't know. Even out there, I mean, I know Big Boy. I know Big Boy to play some joints. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not going to get pushed. You know, because it's them too. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But if people have to go out and get. If you're a hip hop head, man, you know, and you appreciate lyricism, you appreciate a real subject matter, important subject matter, current events, you know, woke in music, and this straight raw lyricism, you have to get this album, man. This is one of them joints that you got to have in the arsenal, man, that you got to play. You know what I mean? It's just one of them, you know. Yeah, you gotta have it.
And it's not just an album that has, as we stated, you know, heavy lyrical content. It's a good listen. The other thing about this album, now that you know that we went through all the tracks, one of the good things that I felt about this album is it being 7 tracks. It does seem like it's short, but after you play it and you absorb all that content, it does feel a lot longer than it actually is, because it's only about 29-30 minutes from start to end, but the content feels like you just sat through like an hour worth of information, which is, it can come off as a negative, but to me it was a positive, because I felt like I got so much in such a short period of time. Like I said, I didn't feel overwhelmed or daunted by it. I just felt motivated I know what the issues are. They've addressed it. Now let's figure out ways of changing it and moving this conversation forward. So I think that was important.
No, you're right. That's exactly how I see it, man. Exactly. You know what I mean? I just think that it's very heavy. It's heavy content, but it's also, you see the lyrical skills. You see the awokeness, man, and it's not a drag out speechy joint. You know, Styles and Talib, they coming through. They mixing it up. You know, and it's a good listen. It's not like it's going to be a dragged out, you know, preachy. It's not a preachy project.
Exactly.
You know, that's why the balance with the rawness of the streets and the consciousness blend together made it great like it was.
Exactly.
You know.
I 100% agree. So I want to tell everybody out there, if you haven't heard The 7 by Talib Kweli and Styles P, which came out last Friday, check that album out, download it, buy it, purchase it, listen to it, leave a comment, let us know what you think about it.
It definitely needs to be supported, man. We go out here and we support all these other joints. You know, we go run out and get Drake albums and all that, man. These Young Thugs and all this other stuff. You know, people don't mind purchasing those projects, man. This one, you know, this is real, especially for our people. Go ahead and purchase that joint, man. By any means, you know what I mean? Go out there and get it, give it a listen. Throw it up in your car, your iPod, your phone. Just give it a quick little listen, stream it.
Yeah, give it a listen. And hopefully it will spark some thoughts, provoke thoughts and discussion. Talk to your friends about it. Let them know what you think about it. Have these conversations. Another point of this podcast was to get people to start talking about albums, to start thinking about albums in a different way. So have these conversations with your friends. Then, you know, leave a comment and let us know the conversations that you guys are having about it.
Your voice of opinion on current events in the state of you know, who's the president and what's going on in our communities and all that. We talk about it, you know, but then, you know, you kind of stray away from it because you want to get into the music, you want to get into your life and do your thing and all that. But it's great to be able to build over hip hop with it, man. Spark this conversation, and these brothers, man, they pushing it to the forefront, and they do, you know, they out here being our soldiers for us. These are the guys that's out here that's fighting for us. You know, Talib, he on Twitter every day, man. He going in on these people.
Yeah,
man.
He is.
You know what I mean?
Talib is heavy. He is heavy in them streets on that Twitter, boy. Because I be seeing the beats between him and people all. That's him and Lupe on my timeline. They be going in on people, and people be going in on them. It does serve the purpose of, like I said, propelling and pushing the conversation. If you can't have the conversation, nothing's ever going to get done, man. Like, we have to have these conversations. We can't be afraid of the conversations, but we also need to be open-minded in the fact of just because somebody disagrees with you, that doesn't mean they can't give any valid insight. That doesn't mean they can't have you think about something in a different manner. It doesn't mean that it will change your opinion, but it can mean that there's a possibility that it could. So you have to be open enough to have those conversations.
There's a little point in your third eye and get it sparking, man.
First of all, thank you again for coming in, and I think this was a real good conversation. If you haven't checked out the J. Cole documentary on HBO, I just watched that, I think 2 days ago or yesterday. 2 days ago. It was a good documentary. It complemented the music. It had nice visuals, and it also had very thought-provoking content. And to me, the end was very hopeful, and it showed that Black people or people of color, minorities, we have a resilience about us that regardless of what trials and tribulations we go through, we still find a way to be hopeful and productive. Not just hopeful, that we find ways to succeed. And I'll end this podcast with that, because I feel like this Project 7 with Talib Kweli, which this podcast is about, also speaks to that, the resiliency that we do have. So I just want to encourage everybody to listen to those albums that we mentioned. Give us a like, give us a listen, leave a comment, have conversations. At the end of the day, man, just try to do better. Try to do better and be better. That's all we can do.
We wake up every morning, man, to do better. You know what I mean? To evolve, man. You know what I mean? We always talk, but everybody has opinions and stuff. They see things going on, and we do have the power to click together and make a change. It's like Styles P and Talib Kweli is doing in hip-hop, in the state of hip-hop right now. These two brothers come from, some of them come, I think they come from two different walks of life as far as the music is concerned.
Yeah.
And it's like forming like Voltron, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's perfect. And you're exactly right. They both come from different, when it comes to the type of music, or even though it's in the same genre, the type of sounds that they navigate to is vastly different. But they came together and they made a beautiful project. So it's an example for us as people, that even though I'm different than you, just like us right here, I'm different than you. I'm on the West Coast, you on the East Coast, but we came together and found a common goal, and where we can talk about something, and we don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to disagree on everything, but we're having a conversation, and it's provoking thought and is making us both move forward and be better. That's all. At the end of the day, if you're not growing, you're dying. So stay growing. There's nothing in this world, if it's not growing, it's dying. There's nothing that stays stagnant. So with that being said, let's continue to grow. So again, I want to say thanks, man.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for having me, first of all. And I'm glad that I was able to have this opportunity to sit down and build with you, man. I think that was a great opportunity for me. It makes me, I'm having fun, man. It made me feel good. You know, thank you. I was able to build on an album that probably won't get a lot of shine worldly.
That's
I was
true.
able to sit down and talk and put it on a platform, man. I think this is great that you're doing this, man. And I just want to give a shout out to you first and foremost, for just having me come up here and be able to kick it with you, man, and talk about this powerful project.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And I just want to tell people, my Instagram handle is Trav Liam 80s, and that's my Instagram, TRAVLIAM 80s. That's the handle for Tina Triumph. I'm up here, so just holler. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody in Inglewood, New Jersey, Bronx, New York, Jamaica, Queens, and Littleton, North Carolina, Halifax County, man. Those are the areas that I've touched in my life. Everybody just giving them a shout out. Listen to this podcast. Everybody go out and listen to the Joe Buttons and the Norries and all, which is good. But you did just in tune with the Stay Woke podcast. So you can stay woke. And this whole podcast we're doing about an album to making sure people stay woke. So get up, get woke.
Appreciate that. So again, I want to thank everybody for listening to another Stay Woke podcast. This is DeRa Brinson, and this podcast was about Talib Kweli and Styles P, The 7. Cop it. You know our motto: live, listen to some great music, and above all, love more. We out.